All right, welcome back. I hope that was informative. That first video was informative. You noticed that I brushed my hair because I can't stand it. I'm not Einstein, and that's probably the primary reason is I can't stand my hair like that. It drives me crazy. Anyway, the basic information in that video is extremely important. So I hope that you watched it, and I hope that you took notes, maybe drew little diagrams. In all of these videos, they go really fast. And I did that on purpose. I didn't want you to have to watch 35 and 45 minute videos that are essentially tailored towards second year medical school. I tried to get really simple videos so that you could get what you need to know as a counselor and not have to worry about the medical boards that are coming up in 2 years. And so it goes quickly. All of them, you need to pause and take notes and write down key terms, and you need to pay careful attention, watch it 2 or 3 times. There's only one of them is 26 minutes long. That's the longest one, but it's pretty good. On the limbic system, you'll get more, and we'll get there in just a little bit. But the basic things that you need to know on the anatomy of the nerve cell are extremely important, because the next video goes into neurotransmission, how nerve cells communicate with one another. So it's extremely important that you understand the basic anatomy of the neuron and the nerve cell before you can move to understanding how neurotransmission works. How do cells communicate one with another nerve cell? So I drew a little neuron here so that we can kind of walk through again the basic information that you need to know. Not overwhelming amount of detail. It slowly, these are all stepping stones. It slowly gets more overwhelming as you go, but let's just review the basic anatomy of the neuron, make sure everybody's got it. We'll start here with the cell body. This big circle here, the cell body, or the soma as it was called in the video. And it's it is the body, the nucleus here in the center, cell body and the nucleus here in the center is the brain of the nerve cell. Now there are lots of little organelles in here. He talks about some of them. The next one talks about some more. Those are not extraordinarily important for us. You think in terms of this is the brain and this is the body that makes decisions about what information to transmit. So the body and the brain get information through the dendrites and the dendritic bulbs. At the end of every dendrite, and dendrite's a Latin word that means tree-like, and if you look at these, they do look like a little tree without limbs. Without leaves. So it's just the bare limbs. At the end of each one of these dendrites is a little knob or a little bulb called a dendritic bulb. Dendritic bulb on one end contains receptor sites where it receives information from adjacent cells. On the other end, there are dendritic bulbs on what's called the terminal button, or I've heard it said terminal button, but it's actually comes from French, so it's pronounced button. But at both ends of the cell, there are receiving receptor dendrites, and there are dendrites that send information. And that's going to be more information in the upcoming video. So the dendrites take in the message, they move it through the cell body in the process with the nucleus, the brain of the cell. Then the cell decides whether it's going to send along the information or not. And this is an electrochemical process. Every chemical compound has a unique electrical signature, and so based on the signature, the cell knows what electrical signal, based on the chemical electrical signature, because it's an electrochemical process, the nerve cell decides what electrical impulse to send along the axon. The axon runs the length of the cell and is encased in a myelin sheath. The myelin sheath is an insulator. It's a protector, like a wire. So think of the axon as a wire transmitting an electrical current, and the myelin sheath as the insulator so that the axon can conduct properly. The signal travels to the terminal button, where the dendritic bulbs release neurotransmitter for the adjacent cells, the cells all around here, to receive and continue the transmission of the signal. So, real quick summary: cell body, nucleus, dendrites, dendritic bulbs, axon, and myelin sheath the surrounding of the axon, is the anatomy that you need to know so that you can move forward to the next piece and with less stalling and bogging down in I don't understand the terminology. So hope that clarifies some of that for you so that you can move to the next video. The next video talks very specifically about neurotransmission. It gets a little technical, but the first 5 minutes are really good. Then there's about a minute or a minute and a half of a little more technical stuff that you don't really need to know. Listen to it anyway. It's really important. But he starts talking about the organelles in the cell, etc. And for counselors, we don't need to know. That's really cool. Jeopardy one night, you might get the good question on biology, but for counseling purposes, it's not something that you need to struggle with. But then the last few minutes, he picks back up at about the 6.5 minute mark or so, and really good information about how neurotransmission works. After you watch that one, we'll come back and I will synthesize the steps in neurotransmission for you so that hopefully you understand it